check the time.
Now
It is
there now I say
3:06.
tax week.
We are live on your screens once again. Hello, good evening, and welcome to ABC News. This is ABC Prime. I am Eric Trinidad. Coming up in the headlines. Now, Speaker Bagbin has expressed disappointment as he adjourns Parliament over the failure of Finance Minister to show up and deliver mini budgets for 2025. We will be speaking on this conversation. Also, students of Bent Kwashiman cluster of schools appeal to government for support as police commences investigation into the incident. Stay for details on that. Still to come in the bulletin, but later in business, Finance Minister Anim Adams says the NPP government is handing over a strong economy to the incoming government. And later on the international front, housemate of Kenyan LGBTQ+ activist Edwin Chiloba has been sentenced to 50 years in prison for the activist's gruesome murder. The bulletin begins right after this. Stay with us. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube, ABC News GH. Do also follow us. We'd appreciate your thought and comment on all the news we will be sharing with you, as well as log on to ABC News GH for more content. Let's begin with the first story. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Kingsford Sumana Bagbin, has adjourned the sitting of the House of Parliament to tomorrow, following the absence of the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, from Parliament today, failing to present the anticipated mini-budget. Now, the minister's absence marks the second consecutive time or day scheduled for budget presentation and has been delayed since the House was recalled yesterday. Now, the absence of the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, and other key members of the New Patriotic Party front bench further fueled speculations into chamber, with some members of the minority accusing the majority caucus of neglecting their own businesses. A Minority Chief Whip Kwame Agboja argued that this may be a calculated move for the NPP to frustrate a potential new government after the 2024 elections. However, some members of the majority side argue that the inability of the Finance Minister to show up does not mean that they are neglecting government's business, stating that the delay is due to some amendments being made to vote of account. The Speaker also expressed disappointment over the situation, adjourned the House, charging the majority leadership to show up for their work.
Even though some of you are giving a new title to my good friend, the former majority leader, so many titles are now coming. I don't know which one to always use. But he is definitely not the great leader. We know the great leader is no more. Those of you pushing him to go early to tomorrow, he will refuse, and I will support him. He won't go. So please, he's not. He can't just usurp the authority and be leading the House in this matter. So please, I want to urge all of you. I've listened to the minority leader. We will take a bow, and then tomorrow we come to continue with the business. Please come prepared to sit for a long haul tomorrow so that we can do most of these businesses. With this, I'll proceed, with your kind permission, to adjourn the House. Honorable members, The House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow at 10 in the forenoon for a long haul tomorrow so that we can do most of it.
Well, some members of the minority caucus have maintained that the majority members of the flying from the duties following the absence of the finance minister on the floor of parliament to present the expenditure in advance of the appropriation from January to March 2025. Addressing the media after adjournment of the House, First Deputy Minority Chief Whip Ahmed Ibrahim and MP for South Dai Nelson Roxon the Fiamapor stated that the majority's disposition since the House resumed sitting yesterday has been. They also maintain that the vote of account and passing of the appropriation must remain the major target of this last sitting in the 8th Parliament.
Expectant agenda. And yet there appears to be some indolence on the part of the leadership to push these businesses through. Why? We cover parliamentary proceedings. The former leader chairmen will seek leave of the speaker for even chairmen of committees to present papers, for deputy ministers to lay papers on behalf of substantive ministers. And on the 96 of our standing minimum, it's very clear as to who can lay papers on the floor of the House. And we had ministers of state sitting there. We had members of parliament on their part sitting there. So this paper could have been presented. Then the content of the documents accompanying the paper could therefore go through the amendments that the speaker made. Be it as it may, tomorrow we expect that some serious work will be done.
Now has a tax waivers. Tax waivers and tax waivers, you are going to tax $350 million. Do you know the effect on the 2025 budget? Why are the minister no crumple the buy Ghana for Twatian? Get your more. Tax waivers here Ghana for Tutiano. And now by one, we must respect the electorate. The electorate are not interested in that. At the end of the Nipana or Twatiano, who Tiasa still are yenye.
Sabanta,
you move and Ghana for any new. Ghana for any new. We were holding government to task. Now, who are the 2 million also my Yantekiwa? 2 million Mamibia. The entire person we are no tax waivers we by 450 million. Ye prone na ye kaya no more 153 so. Say about $350 million. And I hear speakers say they be move from Kona Munson so. Look at this. Is this what we should do? So there, we are growing government. Who say yeah, and this is 1% here at my forecast. And I see at my phone I can't pass. And also I would dodge. And right by the finance minister, boy, yes in there, and they buy one ma. In the blame we one out of the bond.
Well, let's maintain focus on this. And former majority leader in NP for Siame constituency, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, has dismissed claims that the majority side is neglecting government's businesses. The MP explained that the vote of account has far-reaching consequences, including implications of the swearing-in of the president-elect. According to him, the majority side is fully aware of these implications and will see to approval of the vote of account.
The instance of the two parliaments want to have the conduct for the election of the speaker done on the 5th of January, which is a Sunday. If there is no vote on account, that cannot take place. If there is no vote on account, the swearing in of the president in parliament on 7th January cannot take place. If there is no vote on account, government workers, public servants cannot be paid beginning January. So there are real issues that should concern all of us. That is why when the case of us was going on in Parliament, I kept reminding the members of Parliament that there are some serious issues that should occupy their attention rather than mundane issues of at the majority and we will occupy majority seats. That's where we are where we are. But to stress the point that the voting account came to Parliament even before the tussle that happened in Parliament. So the Speaker has it. But somebody has to present it. The minister will have to come and present it, which is what has not been done yet. They thought that because the minister hasn't come to do it, means that the minister is no longer interested. That's far from the truth. The minister is occupied in some other areas, especially in respect of the transition team's business. Then also, because of some issues that are raised, I want to believe that he wants to need to what is presented to see whether there is increase in members. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I think certainly by the close of the day tomorrow.
Away from that, running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the just ended election and NP for Manchester South, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has added his voice to the wave of argument over the approval of the vote of account. Speaking to the media after the adjournment of the House, which he advocated in the chamber, Napo reiterated the government's desire to approve the appropriation for January to March 2025. According to him, the majority side won't debate with the minority over this business and will simply leave the remaining bills in the incoming majority to handle after January 7, 2025.
I'm sure when that side comes to Parliament, they will live up to expectations.
Look, how much will you miss Parliament?
I'm sure the flag bearer decided that he needed me to support. And as far as I'm concerned, my job is to support the Parliament. Even if he decides to go again, my job is to support.
Will you welcome that? If he decides.
There's not been any presidential candidate that has won at the first time. President Kufuor won at the second time. Atta Mills won at the third time. And now to show the really big difference that we've seen.
Finally, you talked about the expectations of Ghanaians of the incoming administration.
From 7 January, we are looking forward to 5 cities to a
Let's have a conversation on the back of this. So let's engage the NP for Onyaso Tuam, Dr. Dixon Adumaku-Kisi on this. Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
So first of all, let me just ask, what were the reasons provided or, in your view, for the absence of the finance minister today?
All right. So let me